Assalamu alaikum everyone. Myself Rejanul Haq and last four digit of my ID are 1184. Today our presentation topic is research process step. In this presentation we will briefly explain what is research, why we conduct research and the basic step followed in research process. Before starting, let me introduce our team. Our team consists of 4 members and our topic is research process step, and each member contribute to collecting information and organizing the slides. What is research? Research means studying something carefully to know more about it. It is a systematic and scientific process, which means it follows some paper, steps and rules. We do not just guess in research, we collect information, observe, analyze and then find the answer. Research helps us to find answer to question what we do not fully understand. It also helps us to create new knowledge to improve old ideas. For example, if someone wants to know why students face problems in online learning, they can do research by collecting data and studying a problem. Why do we conduct research? We conduct research because it helps us to understand problem and find better solution. In real life, problem face many kinds of problem in education, health, business, technology, and society. Research helps us to study those problems properly and find the effective answer. Another reason for conducting research is gaining to new knowledge. Through research, we can learn new facts, ideas, and information. It also helps different fields grow and develop. Research is also important because it helps to improve exciting methods and practice. So we conduct research to not only to know something new, but also to make life easier, better, and more effective. Thank you everyone for listening me, and that's all for my side. And now my next group member will explain the rest of this presentation.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum, sir. Myself, Qazi Najwa Sultana Sami, and the last four digits of my ID are 1054. Now I'm going to explain the overview of the research process. Research is a step-by-step and symmetric way to solve a problem. It starts with identifying a clear research problem, which helps us to understand what we want to investigate. Then we review the existing literature to understand what has already been done and build a strong foundation. After that, we formulate a hypothesis and set research objectives, which guide the direction of the study. Next, we design the research method and collect relevant data through surveys or experiments. Then we analyze the data to find patterns or relationships. Finally, we interpret the results and present our finding in a structured report. This overall process ensures that the research is logical, reliable, and meaningful. Now, I'm going to explain the first step of the research process, which is defining the research problem. In this step, we need to identify a clear and specific problem that we want to investigate. A well-defined problem helps guide the entire research. We also ask important questions like why this problem exists, what exactly we want to study, and how can we approach it. Finally, we must ensure that the problem is realistic, feasible, and can be properly researched. Now I'm going to explain a bit more about literature review. It means studying existing research to understand the topic clearly and identify research gaps. Here are the steps of literature review. First, we identify the keywords related to our research topic. Then we search for relevant papers and articles from the reliable source like Google Scholar, Springer, Science Direct, and IEEE. After that, we select recent and useful studies and read their abstract to check whether they are relevant to our topic or not. Then we read the full papers for a deeper understanding. Next, we analyze the compare the findings of different studies. identify research gaps, and finally summarize and organize the information properly. This process helps us to build a strong foundation for our research. Thank you, sir, for listening me. Now my next team member will explain the next.
Thank you, Sami, to give me an opportunity to explain my part. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. This is Nazmus Sakib, and the last four digit of my ID is 1176. Now, let's talk about the foundation of any research hypothesis and objectives. Think of a hypothesis is an educated guess. It's like the predicting the end of the movie before watching it. We need this to guide our goals. Next, we define the specific objectives. There are like small milestones that keep us on the right track throughout the study. Most importantly, we must ensure our hypothesis is measurable. If we can't measure it, we can't prove it. So the steps is all about the setting clear target before we start our journey. Next. Once we have our goals, we need a plan. This is where research design essential to comes in. First, we have to decide will our research is qualitative or quantitative. Do we want the deep stories or hard numbers? Then we select the right tools and techniques, almost like choosing the right instrument for a surgery. Finally, we create a complete roadmap to conduct the research effectively. A good design saves us from getting lost in the middle of the work. It's basically our planning checkout for success. Next, now we move to the most active part, data collection method. Data collection method. This is how we actually gather information. We can conduct survey to hear the people what people think and perform experiment to test the if educated guess was right. The main goal here is to collect data that is the both accurate and relevant. If the data is wrong, the whole research fails. So we have to be very careful and organized while gathering and evidence. It like being a detective looking for a right track. Thanks everyone, and that's all about my part. Now I am invite my next teammate Ummenusai Khan to deliver her speech.
Assalamu alaikum, sir. My name is Umen Usaiba Khan, and the last four digits of my ID are 1211. Now, I will explain these three parts: data analysis, techniques, interpretation and reporting, and the conclusion. First, in the data analysis phase, we organize the collected data in a systematic way so that it becomes clear and understandable. We use charts, graphs, and other visual tools to represent the data effectively. Lastly, this helps us easily identify patterns, trends, and relationships which are important for making accurate conclusions. In the second slide, interpret and report. In these steps, we analyze the results carefully and connect them with our research objectives. It is very important to avoid any kind of bias or false conclusions, and we present our findings clearly using tables, charts, and proper explanation. And finally, prepare a well structured report supported by strong evidence. And finally, in the conclusion part, we bring together all the findings of all the research and highlight the key insights. It reflects what we have learned from the data, and whether our objective have been achieved. A clear and concise conclusion helps the audience understand an overall outcome and the significance of the study. Thank you, sir. Assalamu alaikum.